Hi, this is Kat Counselor with Stamp Art Connection and stampartconnection.com. I am going to demonstrate a technique to create this card from the Splendid Thoughts bundle that is in the mini catalog. And let me go ahead and kind of show you where this is, because by the time I publish this, I think it'll be 1 July, so I can show you this set. It is just a really gorgeous, gorgeous set. I hope I didn't pass it by. Here it is. This is available in the mini catalog. It's called the Splendid Day collection, and it's really beautiful. Let me show you some of the products that come with it. You get this lovely ribbon, and you get these little trinkets, wonderful little open leaf trinkets. And here's the DSP. Now the DSP is just beautiful. And you can see it has some wonderful foil as well as some very pretty color on the back side. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? And gold, and they're both gold, and I believe there's some copper in here. Just really striking, just some striking paper. And I want to show you some other cards that I made with this set. Here's this card here, very simple, just very simply stamped. This is kind of a very good simple stamping. This card I created because this DSP actually has a little ladybug in the DSP. Let me show you. You can see these little ladybugs right here, right here, right here, and right there. You see the little ladybug? I just thought that was just cute. So I went ahead and I made this card trying to kind of play on that ladybug theme. Using the colors, these colors that come in this, that coordinate with this set are Calypso Coral, Copper, Fresh Freesia, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Sierra Sanded, Soft Sea Foam. So I just thought that was just really pretty. So cards that I've created using this suite. But what I wanted to show you is the not only the stamp set, but the dies. Here's the stamp set, but the dies that come with this set create a whole series of different shapes. They create some very nice cutouts for the shapes that you can stamp. And they also create some really nice die cut shapes that you can use to embellish your cards. Kind of these long leafy things and just some really wonderful shapes. This shape here I cut out in gold foil. You can see I kind of added it there. They also have a little die because they have this wonderful little bee that's part of this stamp set. This shape can be used to create some geometric designs, but I'm using it as a planter on my card. And I'm going to use, let me go ahead and get out the shapes that I'm going to use for this next card. I'm going to use this shape, as well as the bumblebee and that shape. And I'm also going to use that as a plant. So those are the dies I'm going to use. The dies that I'm going to use for this card. I'm going to use the stamp set, and I'm going to use the scallop contours dies. And I'm using this die right here, and this is going to be kind of a framelit die. And if you look at our sample here, this was the first card I did, and I used some ornate frames. And this is a retired die, but I just love I just love to experiment as I'm kind of pulling cards together. So I kind of use that as my frame. I'm going to stamp the image, and then you can see I've created some texture in the background using some of these dyed images. And I have my little bumblebee, and then I'm using that half circle die as my potted plant. So then for this one, which is the card that we're going to be creating, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm kind of stepping up how we're going to do the stamping to kind of create this really interesting kind of a very variegated color that really, I think, makes this very simple card. I have these white background pieces that I've used with these deep dyes. And then I kind of have my planter here, and I'm using basic black just to kind of make it pop. Here's my little bumblebee. Now I've simplified the frame because I'm using the Scallop Contours die, and this is going to be my frame for that. So I'm going to put that right here. So these are all my dies that I'm going to need for this set. Now for inks, I'm going to use the soft sea foam. I'm using soft succulent, and I'm also using evening evergreen. Now for cardstock, our base card is going to be the soft succulent. And I'm just kind of cutting this in a 4 1/4 by width, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score at 5 1/2 to create that fold. And I'm going to need some basic white, and that's going to be for my base or our layer. I'm going to also need just some whisper white to stamp. So I'm going to need some to stamp stamp this piece here. And then I've also taken some whisper white, and I've added some of this adhesive, multi-purpose adhesive sheet on the back, because I'm going to use this to stamp some of these die cuts, so that I can just go ahead and adhere it very nicely on the back of my, onto my layer there. So, and of course, you're going to need some basic black cardstock to go ahead and cut your, little, I don't know, planter here. I'm using white embossing powder, and I'm also using some dimensionals to pop these up. And I have some old embellishments that I'm going to use that kind of coordinate. Again, using whatever you have in your craft room so that you can always extend your products. Now, lastly, this is a card pack, which is the 2021 to 2023 In Color Designer Series paper. And it includes Evening Evergreen. And I just loved this piece of this pattern right here, Evening Evergreen. And this is going to be our background layer for our card on our soft succulent here. Let me just pull that in. Now, if you don't have any of these, you can always go and revert to white. But I'm just kind of, again, kind of using what you may have in your craft room. Okay. So there you go. Beautiful card using the Splendid Thoughts stamp set and the Scallop Contours. And I should have the Splendid Stems dies. So let's go ahead and get started. So you want to begin with cutting your cardstock. And I'm starting out with our base card of soft succulent. I'm just making sure I have the crease there. This is our DSP. This is being cut at 5 1/4 by 4, and I'm later going to use a corner punch to round out our corners. I'm going to cut all of our die cuts. I'm going to put them all together and run them through my die machine at one time. There they are. I've used the adhesive, multi-purpose adhesive sheet on the back of those detailed dies, and now we're going to stamp. I've arrayed out my inks: Evening Evergreen, Soft Seafoam, and Soft Succulent. I'm using the line art, the line stamp for the image, and I'm stamping that with Evening Evergreen. That's your darkest color. Now the other stamp is kind of the shadow or the filler stamp. That does not fit at all to the what the line art is, and this is the beauty of this technique. Go ahead and stamp across the image, kind of using two different colors. I'm using soft succulent and soft seafoam here, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cover as much of the line art as I can, just kind of over stamping, and that's going to create kind of that variegated effect that you want. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut that out using my my die, and there are some white areas, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a sponge dauber, and I'm just going to kind of sponge the edges so that I have total coverage and kind of eliminate any of the white edges showing. So I'm just kind of doing that along the edges and just going back. So that is pretty much what our focal point is going to be. I stamp the bee. I'm just using a Stampin' Blends marker, whatever yellow color you want to kind of color our bee. Later I'm going to color his wings using a Wink of Stella. So now let's go ahead and assemble our card. I'm taking the die cut pieces that have the adhesive backing, and I'm just going to arrange them and on my Whisper White, or rather my basic white layer, being careful to remove all the little pieces and parts. This can be a little challenging with the adhesive sheet, but it just makes it a whole lot easier than trying to use a fine tip glue pen to try to glue those. I also kind of take advantage of the size and cut them so that I can kind of cover the full background that I'm going to put my focal point, my stamped image on, and you can kind of see how that's going to work nicely. Rubbing the images carefully, and if there's any glue that may have kind of leaked out rather, or some of the adhesive pieces that are showing on the edges, just use a gum eraser. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment on basic black using my embossing buddy Versamark to stamp, and then I'm going to emboss with white embossing powder on using my heat gun. Then after I've set that with my heat gun, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. So let's go ahead and watch the rest of the assembly. Thank you for joining me. Please like and share. If you need a demonstrator or want to join as a hobbyist for personal attention from me on teaching you all kinds of tips and tricks and new techniques, please visit my site. All products are available on my online store. My blog has all the details. Please visit my favorite product links to purchase tools such as the magnetic mat. Thank you for joining me. This is Kat Chancellor. Happy stamping.